as you prepare, my friends, for the fourth week of Advent, moving towards that beautiful day when we will look at the babe in the manger who will make us children of the Maker. And that is the theme that connects all of us and connects these 4 weeks of preparation before we come to celebrate Christmas. The Gospel writers, 4 of them, and based on the church and the liturgy, all these people are fantastic screenplay writers. You know, a good movie or a good theatrical presentation is basically based on how the script is written and characters brought together and how each scene are introduced and put that together, building on to a climax and to the main meat of the story. It all pulls together because the screenwriter or the screenplay is done very well. For us, the main screenplay, the main hero is Jesus, of course. He makes the entry on Christmas Day. He is the main package. He is the meat of the season. And before that main character could come, the screenwriters of the liturgical setup that we have in our church have built a beautiful stage-by-stage narration. First week of Advent, second week of Advent, third and fourth week, and fourth week into we are now. Therefore, look at this. In the first 2 weeks, the concepts are thrown. The first week is basically, oh, he's coming for the second time. And therefore, we are preparing towards his first coming. The parousia, or the eschatology, or the time after history, is projected with the one who is being born now. That's the first week of Advent, first concept. The second concept is thrown when not only he is beyond history, he's within history, within geography, within concrete time and space. And that's a second week story. Third week, last week, we had the first of the character coming into the scene, John the Baptist, preparing the way. Fourth week of Advent, we have the fourth character, the second of the 2 characters, but the fourth of the concepts, our Blessed Mother into the scene. 2 concepts of eschatology, history, beyond history and history. 2 main characters before the birth of Christ, John the Baptist and Mary. All put together, where stage is set for the main production or the main scene to come on Christmas Eve. The babe in the manger makes us children of the Maker. And how this comes together, my dear friends, is on the 4th week, it comes to the heart of the matter, so to speak. Here, the main crux is basically how the new has overtaken the old, or the new not only fulfills the old, but kind of completes the old in a much more newer and powerful way. What do I mean, the new and the old? Micah, Prophet Micah, first reading for this weekend, Hebrews, letter to the Hebrews, the second reading, and of course Luke's Gospel will weave around this old and the new, and how the new is coming in the way of Christ. Whether we call the old covenant and the new covenant, or the old dispensation or the new dispensation, however we want to frame it. But there is the new that is coming. And therefore, Prophet Micah, my dear friends, is a phenomenal prophet in the sense, he is just after the northern kingdom of Israel has been taken away by the Assyrians. Down south, there is Isaiah, the big guy, the big prophet, okay? And then there is the small guy called Micah. Isaiah the prophet is more Jerusalem-centered, the city guy, if you want to call, the urban fellow, if you want to call. Micah is the rural prophet who stays in a small village very close to Bethlehem. And in this small rural agrarian area, he looks up at the northern kingdom that has already been taken away by the Assyrians, and he's exercising his ministry along with Isaiah in a different sense of the word. He and Isaiah overlap very often, especially the first Isaiah. We'll talk about that later if we have a time of what first Isaiah is all about. And therefore, the beauty of Micah is that he's a rural prophet who doesn't have much regard for Jerusalem and the urban Jerusalem, the main hub of the activity. For him, it is like this. You, Israel, you need to watch out. If you don't watch out, God will punish you. But the God who punishes is also the God who will restore you. And that God who comes to you in that powerful form is what he talks to you in this week's reading, that he is coming to restore you. It is that restoration that is taken over by letter to the Hebrews. The letter to the Hebrews, my dear friends, the writer is a phenomenal Jewish Christian, highly intellectual, but very much seeped in around Jerusalem again. He is in Jerusalem, most probably, and he is catering to a lot of migrants who have come into Jerusalem seeking for the completion of the kingdom of God. They have become Christians now, and they're waiting for the kingdom to come. The kingdom, as they thought, was not coming into them, and therefore they are a little skeptical about the whole story. Is Jesus, the sacrifice of Jesus, is it really the one? Or should we need one more sacrifice? Or is something, the new covenant that he spoke about, is it really valid, so to speak? And therefore, there's a little bit of skepticism, and for many people, it was a doubt too, even to the danger of someone saying, we don't have to be in Jerusalem anymore. I think we have done our work. A little disappointed, let us go back. The writer to the Hebrews, a Christian, Jewish scholar, a Jewish Christian, however you want to word it. He's a Jewish Christian scholar who is profoundly Jewish in his upbringing. He knows in and out of Jewish customs because he was born and brought up. And this Jewish scholar has got all that put together for himself. And he knows all the intricacies, the scriptures, the worship rituals, everything. And then he says to his people, do not get disappointed. You've been putting your hope mostly on the old covenant, but the new covenant is richer, and it is a once and for all sacrifice in Jesus. And therefore, he is trying to nuance them and saying, God has destined us to be sinless. The possibility of being sinless is not in the law of Moses, okay? It is not in the laws and rituals. The possibilities of being sinless is only because of Jesus, is only because of the new covenant. And the new covenant that Jesus brings in is a once and for all sacrifice, and it is such more profound that is exactly God's plan. And he says how this is reflected in the Jewish scriptures in which you already believed before. Your Jewish scriptures, our Jewish scriptures, for him, he says, we have a common heritage. He says the plan of how to become sinless is already found in Psalms and in the prophets. He says that plan was not there in the Pentateuch. So therefore, what is missed in the Pentateuch, what is incomplete in the Pentateuch means the first 5 books of Moses. We know that, right? And therefore, what is not there in Pentateuch is found in Psalms and prophets, how we can become sinless because of the new covenant that comes. And therefore, Hebrews, writer to the Hebrews, is one who gives us the meat of what the new covenant is all about. And therefore, Luke comes into the scene. For Luke, that old covenant coming to a close in one way, in John the Baptist, who prepares the way for the new covenant in Jesus. And when Jesus and John the Baptist and Jesus go toe to toe, parallel, Along with it, there is a parallelism between Elizabeth and Mary. Elizabeth, the carrier of John the Baptist, is now juxtaposed or put together in parallel with Mary, who bears the new covenant in her womb, Jesus himself, the ark of the covenant, so to speak. And therefore, in this week's gospel reading, this parallelism, this movement of one and another of Elizabeth and Mary comes true and forth. Both of them are pregnant. One little before, one 6 months later, so to speak, according to Luke's gospel. But both of them are pregnant in a miraculous way. Mary, without a human agent. Elizabeth, beyond a human intervention, beyond a human possibility. A human possibility is bypassed because of old age. She's pregnant. Human agent is bypassed. Mary is pregnant. Both of them have an annunciation by angels. Both of them come to meet each other, and both of them are celebrating their joy of together. My dear friends in Jesus, in this meeting together, the parallel between Mary and Elizabeth, John the Baptist and Jesus, they are parallel. They're coming together in the story, but with one reminder that John could have been is elder. In time he has come before, but in all his essence and in his spirituality and in his ministry, his mission is secondary and subordinate to Jesus' ministry and his personhood. And therefore, that Jesus is there in the womb of our Blessed Mother. And then John the Baptist, the old representation, if you want to call, is already celebrating that. The old recognizing the new, and the new is totally reworking on the old and bringing the new covenant in our blessed Jesus. And therefore, keep this in mind. As children of God, when we come to the Christmas time, keep these thoughts in mind. Different characters, different ideas, different concepts. John the Baptist and Mary, eschatology and history together, all put together to that one babe we will see on the manger. Hopefully, I'll be able to bring something before Christmas that day. But don't worry about that. Keep all this in mind. That babe in the manger is the new covenant baby who makes you and I the children of the Father. And if we are God's children, my dear friends, because we have accepted him, we are empowered. And therefore, have a wonderful Christmas. But approach the Christmas time. When you go to the nativity scene, the crib, if you want to call, or the creche you want to call, look at the babe and say, babe, Jesus, Emmanuel, what do you want me to do? Just like what all those wonderful people in the gospel reading asked last weekend. May God be with us, knowing that in Jesus we become new because of the one sacrifice he made on the cross for us, and in the one incarnation of Jesus, and in the one person of Christ. May God be with you as you embrace Jesus in your hearts, especially at Christmas time. Merry Christmas. God bless. The babe in the manger makes us children of the Maker.